Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 worst kart racing games. Not every mascot can reach the same level of kart racing fame as Mario or Crash Bandicoot, and these are the ones that drifted way too close to the sun, or their engines couldn't even get them close enough. Did you play any of these terrible games? What's the worst kart racer you've played? Share with us in the comments below. Now, let's go in for a pit stop. Before we begin, we publish new videos all week long, so be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Nickelodeon Kart Racers. If you grew up on Nicktoons Racing for the PC, Game Boy Advance, and PlayStation 1, like I did, you were probably ecstatic to hear that a new Nickelodeon Kart Racer was coming to modern consoles in 2018. Unfortunately, this seemingly sweet ride had blown its tires the second it launched. The controls were frustrating, and power sliding would often hinder instead of help us get to first place. What made us the most outraged was that out of Nickelodeon's entire library from the past several decades, only 4 shows would make up the 12-character roster. The sequel would make amends with more content, new mechanics, and several more characters from shows old and new, but poor optimization made it hard for us to stomach. I cannot tell you how disappointed I was in these two games. Smurf Racer. It's pretty easy to hate on the Smurfs, given how they substitute most adjectives and verbs with the word Smurf. Seriously, what even is that? However, the number of times you'll hear Brainy throw Smurf isn't even the worst part about Smurf Racer. This is a game that tried absolutely nothing to be even remotely impressive. There are no interesting power-ups to keep the races thrilling, and the tracks are about as bare bones as the Smurfin' show. The footage you're seeing is of me playing the game on expert difficulty, and not once in my 30-minute playthrough did I lose a single race. 30 minutes to beat the game. Even by 2001 standards, this isn't even worth a rent.
Here is Painter Smurf.
Madagascar Karts. The monotony train keeps on plowing ahead with, Madagascar Karts. While the game wasn't exactly a cash-in, the second movie only premiered the year before, it certainly felt like DreamWorks was trying to find something while their ogre crashed and burned with every sequel in-game. Madagascar Karts was yet another failed attempt to milk one of their many franchises, and the underwhelming delivery shows just how little content there is. 9 racers and a small handful of tracks? Come on. On top of that, the AI's behavior is painfully predictable between the rubber banding and the immediate use of items. Unless you like hearing, "I like to move it," every minute, this game is a hard pass. Please save yourself. South Park Rally. A South Park kart racer would sound great if it were made with the same level of passion as Stick of Truth or even Fractured But Whole. Alas, this is merely a sad attempt at capitalizing on South Park's popularity as well as the kart racing genre back in the late 90s and early 2000s. South Park Rally is about as manic as the show's characters, littering its tracks with so many hazards you won't know what is happening half the time. Even without the abundance of obstacles, the game's performance is downright abysmal with frequent frame dips and stutters. Sure, you'll laugh at the jokes and references packed in, but a couple of races will make you realize there is much more value in a serving of Cartman's chili. Homie Rollers. In case you hadn't heard of this toy brand, Homie Rollers was similar to Hot Wheels and Matchbox, but with a more urban style with Latin and Hispanic characters. However, they never reached the same level of success. A video game would have saved the brand for sure, right? On the contrary, Homie Rollers would become not just one of the worst racing games ever made, but one of the worst DS games ever made. In addition to a lazy story mode and ugly visuals, the game features abysmal controls, dull environments, and enough mayhem to make you wonder just what even is going on. If the music doesn't drive you mad, then you have to be some kind of superhuman. It certainly drove me mad for like the 10 minutes I lasted with this game. Garfield Kart. You gotta wonder if the people who jokingly praise bad games to turn them into memes ever realize that not all pain is entertaining to witness. Why Garfield Kart ever reached that level of fame is beyond us, as the game does absolutely nothing interesting. The game is unabashedly fair to the player, constantly harassing you with items and insane rubber banding. Throw in some awful performance issues and a handful of bugs, and you've got yourself a kart racer that just makes you and everybody you know miserable, whether you're playing it, watching it, or even looking at it. And you know what the sad part is? Its remake, Furious Racing, was actually a significant improvement, providing more systems to work with instead of leaving everything to luck. Still sucks in presentation though. M&ms Kart Racing. Honestly, an M&ms Kart Racer sounds pretty appetizing and a decent way of getting us to buy more bags of the stuff. If only the game had shown the same level of creativity as the famed Candies commercials. M&ms Kart Racing strips any ounce of personality from the humanoid chocolates by shuffling in the most generic gameplay and presentation possible. Races are unbearably slow, carts are locked behind a grindy progression system, and the commentators sound like they're trying to smile after learning a dark secret about a friend. At this point, they should have saved the money on animation and just replaced all of the characters with cardboard cutouts. At least the awkward stiffness would have made the game funny to some degree. Mythmaker's Superkart GP. Mythmaker's Superkart GP is tiring. It's tiring in its gameplay, tiring to look at, and tiring to understand how it could even exist. Here we have yet another kart racer that does absolutely nothing to differentiate itself outside of visuals, and it manages to achieve this mediocrity in the most fatiguing ways possible. Repetitive and irritating sound design, poorly constructed tracks, and an unexciting art style will most likely cause you to lose interest in gaming for an entire day. Considering this came from the same studio that brought you Ninja Bread Man and its 3 reskinned clones, it's no surprise that this turned out so poorly. Action Girlz Racing. Originally released in Europe in 2005 for PC, Action Girlz Racing somehow managed to reach the PlayStation 2 and Wii in 2008 for us North American audiences. In the most shocking way possible, the game turned out to be a hot mess in the most unflattering sense. First off, the tracks are designed so badly that even the AI has a difficult time making the tight turns. Secondly, hitting walls or just about any obstacle can bounce your kart hard enough to turn you around and kill any ounce of speed you had. Wait a second, why does that main menu music sound so familiar? Oh god, this is the same track they used in Ninja Bread Man. Aw, it's these guys too! Get me out of here. Before we reveal the most broken down heap of scrap in the kart racing genre, here are a few dishonorable mentions. Coffin Dodgers. It was a solid concept until the ragdoll physics and broken hitboxes came up. Inspector Gadget Racing. How do you make cartoon visuals look so horrendous? Merlin Racing. When mom says, "We have Crash Team Racing at home," and it's for the new on DVD player. Heathcliff, the Fast and the Furriest.
Hey, watch where you're going.
How, in the ever-loving world of lasagna, terrible Mondays, and naps, could Garfield's unfunny predecessor possibly be worse than the mediocre, the buggy, and the haphazardly assembled games we've seen today? Elementary, dear viewers. You simply skew the entire game against the player in every way possible. Half-ass menu navigation, and use a Times New Roman font to devoid any personality from this. Slow the player down whenever they turn, crank the rubber banding to ludicrous speed, barrage the player with power-ups, and make the entire experience sound about as pleasant as a dozen cats coughing up hairballs or my voice. Heathcliff, the Fast and the Furriest is a painful ride from title screen to exit, and when you make games like Garfield Kart or Action Girlz Racing more appealing, you have really, really screwed up. And you know what the sad part is? I own this game. I bought this at GameStop for $2, and I still want my money back.
Check out these other great clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.